is my head isn't right. It's.
Is your head ever right? Let's face it.
I don't know. I've been suffering all week.
Hello, viewer. How are you doing? Welcome to Full Record Jacket with Phil and Ben. Although Ben doesn't seem to be quite the full Ben at the moment. He's just been saying...
I'm not full Ben.
You got... What's up with you?
I don't know. I've had some viral infection, and it seems to trigger these little bouts of vertigo. So hopefully nothing like almost 2 years ago when I was off for 16 weeks, Philster, and you had to go in alone without me. You went all George Michael on me. Not fully George Michael, strangers in toilets and that.
You were the Andrew Ridgeley of the duo, and I was the George Michael, basically. I went and got all the plaudits on my solo career, and you just vanished, basically.
And I just got a tan, didn't I? Moved to Cornwall, and easy life. Royalties.com.
But I kept the faith.
You did?
I got a bit older during that period.
You did?
But,
Watching the Wheels.
Is
that John Lennon?
There's something about Wheels by George Michael. Isn't that spinning?
It's on the older.
Isn't that
spinning the wheel? Spinning the wheel. Yes, spinning the wheel. Yeah.
I'm trying to come up with a few more puns around that one, but I've run out now.
Yeah.
We'll put you out of our misery there. We'll heal the pain.
No, he's done it there.
See?
I'll tell you what, I will carelessly whisper to you, Philster, when to finish doing these puns. Finish them now.
Thanks, Ben. You advised me well there, like a good father figure.
I did. Yeah. They
just don't
Somebody shoot the dog.
It's all getting too funky, isn't it, really? The whole thing.
It's all too funky, yeah. It is. I tell you, this is the best time I've had since I had some fast love.
Are we going to give the viewers freedom from our stupid...
No, you had to think about that one for a little while, didn't you?
Our stupid George Michael puns.
Yeah, let's go
around a different corner.
Oh, he's back in. You're back in the game. I've literally run out of George Michael songs, dude. So you carry on with it, dude. Just wake me up before you go. And
if only Ben would change his gender, then I could give him everything she wants.
We are on this today, aren't we? Somebody wasn't Shoot the Dog. Did I say Shoot the Dog? Wasn't that a George Michael song?
Yeah, he did do one called that. That was his anti-George Bush and Blair thing, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah. Are we out of them? Are we?
We're surely running out by now, aren't we? I can't think
so.
of any more. Or can I?
Can you? I'll give you 10 seconds. You got 10 seconds to think of another George Michael song, because I really don't have the patience to.
Oh dear me! Yeah, okay, that was pretty good.
Yeah. To wait much longer than that, dude. So if you want to, I can't come up with any others.
I don't know if I can think of a single one more.
No, I can't either, because, I mean, it was sort of last Christmas when we did this sort of thing, wasn't it? I mean, if you carry on much longer, Phil, the sun's going to go down on me. So
that's it, I'm leaving. I'm going outside, Ben.
Yay! Phil, I've been meaning to say this for a long time, but my papa was a Rolling Stone. But I tell you what, one thing I've been meaning to ask you, Phil, is where did your heart go? Where did it go? Because I think you're amazing, and I know sometimes it feels like you've been, our relationship, you feel like you've been kissing a fool, but. You know what? I really want your sex.
You just are a dirty little monkey, aren't you, Ben?
I'm your man. I'm just waiting for that day. Oh, the George Michael songs are coming. You can take me to the edge of heaven, Philster.
Oh, you're doing well with this run. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I'm out. That's it. I'm out. That's it. I'm not doing any more. That's it.
You see what you're doing there? You're just doing. Just
Yeah.
do that again. Now put them in front of your eyes. Look at your hands. Do you know that one? Look at your. It's on the Faith album. Look at your hands.
Is
remember
it?
that one? Yeah.
There you see.
I was getting into the deep cuts there.
Yeah. We've got something to save, I think.
Oh, that's another one, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other song I've thought of by George Michael that I couldn't insert into a decent pun or line is Cowboys and Angels. Remember that one?
Yeah, I do remember that one. Or how about, Phil, you give it one more try?
Well, with your level of maturity, Ben, I feel like I'm talking, like Jesus to a child, quite frankly.
I'm just praying for time, Phil. Praying for time.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Because we are, Philster, we are bad boys.
Well,
and before we came on this...
You make all these jokes about my age, so we're not young guns.
We're not young guns. And you messaged me and said you were ready to rock, and I wasn't. But I knew you were waiting for me.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
And I'm here to heal the pain for you, Phil.
There must be another one.
You just got to have faith, haven't you?
There's another one. Now we're repeating them now.
We are. We're
in danger of repeating them. There must be
we've
another.
Got to go to a different corner.
Yeah, I said that earlier as well.
Oh, you did, bugger. Anyway, enough George Michael nonsense. Not that George Michael is nonsense.
That was completely unplanned, viewer.
That wasn't planned.
Oh, we didn't come on to talk about George Michael. I don't know what we came to talk about.
Well, as always, we've got no plan whatsoever.
I've been listening to I've got a quiz. Do you want a quiz question? I've got to stand up and pick something up.
By the way, when Phil stands up, he's like a ladder. Right. So tall. He's like 18 foot.
So, have you ever seen
the cement chimney?
You ever seen this film?
Once Upon a Time in America.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it. It's supposed to be a classic, and it's one of those films that you should see. But no, I haven't seen it.
It's one of my favourite films of all time, right? Always liked it. Now, this afternoon I was driving around, and I had on an album from, I think it's 1991. Yeah, it's 1991.
I was 12.
Do you know who this is? This is he in 1991. Now, he has made a number of albums in more recent years with one of your favourite sex symbols of all time.
Betty Boo?
Well, I think you have liked her for longer than Betty Boo.
Louise Nerding.
I would say that you've liked her for longer than Louise Nerding.
Is her name Louise?
No, she's been around since the 80s, so I think she's been prominent since the 80s. So I think that you have liked this lady I'm thinking about for longer.
Michaela Strachan.
No.
Sarah Green.
American.
Rusty Lee.
No.
Floella Benjamin.
Well,
Rod, Jane and Freddie.
I doubt she's going to come walking down your street anytime soon.
Patsy Cline.
But you have been holding an eternal flame for her.
Oh, Suzanne Hoffs.
Yes, Susanna Hoffs.
From the Bangles. She is.
Now, this guy has made a lot of records with Susanna Hoffs. He's made a few in recent years. Do you know who he is?
No.
I'm talking about Matthew Sweet.
Oh, I do know. Yeah, I've heard the name.
Right.
Yeah, I think I do have a Matthew Sweet album that somebody may have burnt me a copy of.
And this is the album from 1991.
Wasn't that in our albums of the 90s? Wasn't that one of the ones that we listened to?
I think we considered it. I'm not sure that it made the final one, but It is a very good album. It's got 15
Yeah.
songs. It's a long album. It's got 15 songs on, but it's one of those you can't really knock it. That every track is good.
You know what you
Quite,
can knock?
yeah.
A door.
So the quiz question is what is the connection between Matthew Sweet's album Girlfriend and Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in America, the 1984 movie?
Right, so
Start.
they're 7 years apart.
Yep.
Is it to do with somebody who produced the soundtrack? So have you heard that? That's me. I've got this new dining table and I've just stuck the label for my
It's not actually as.
tonic water.
It's actually.
Is
This is kind of easy when you know. Okay, it's not. You don't have to think too deeply
is
about
the
it. But
person on the front cover the actress in the film?
that is it, because that is Tuesday Weld. That was taken in the
Oh,
1950s. But when she
yeah.
was a bit older, she was in her 40s, I think. She was one of the characters in Once Upon a Time in America. She plays the girlfriend of the James Woods character. So, yeah, Tuesday Weld is on the cover of the Matthew Sweet album, and she's in the Sergio Leone movie. I don't know why I threw that in there, but I just thought I would.
Yeah. That's a good little quiz.
Yeah.
I got it right.
I
So
also
I can't complain
listened.
now.
Do you know what I also listened to today?
Go on.
I listened to, because the other night I was watching on YouTube. I was watching Andy Edwards, the Mad Brummy on YouTube. He's
Yes, yeah.
he's very knowledgeable on music, but also quite wacky and fun. He was making the argument, and he made it well. He was making the argument that ZZ Top is the greatest American rock band of all time. Okay, and
Yeah.
I thought I'll have a listen to some ZZ Top when I go on my walk. So I listened to ZZ Top live in Texas, which is the live album that came out in 2008.
Texas.
And it did what it said on the tin. Really, it's exactly what you'd expect it to be like. It was fun.
ZZ Toppy and Beardy.
I enjoyed it. I do enjoy ZZ Top, and particularly I do like Billy Gibbons' guitar playing.
Do you think one of them's ever got their beard trapped in the guitar strings?
I don't know. Apparently, the Beards only started in the late 70s.
Oh, did they?
They made their first album in I think it was 71. I may have to be corrected on that, but it was the very early 70s. They made the first album. Of course, Billy Gibbons had been in a band called, I think it was called the Moving Sidewalks before, and I think that was an early iteration of
Because
ZZ
aren't they all
Top.
dead?
No, there's only one has died. One of the three.
One.
That's Dusty Hill, the bass player, died in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, Billy Gibbons, I mean, before he was successful, before ZZ Top was successful, and obviously because Jimi Hendrix only died in, 1970, Jimi Hendrix did say that Billy Gibbons was his favourite guitar player. And that was before before Gibbons had really achieved any real big fame. Hendrix really liked him. That's a random fact there. Yeah.
I've got the ZZ Top album with the car on the front.
Eliminator.
That's the one.
The headlights coming towards you on the old car. That's the one.
Yeah.
The biggest selling one by a long shot. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got that one. I haven't listened to a great deal this week because I've obviously been a bit poorly.
Yeah.
So I was listening to the Rob Thomas solo album from 2019 yesterday and today. I do like it. It's got very 80s throwback feel to it.
Okay.
So it's a very, very, very good album. Unfortunately, never released it on vinyl. I don't know why, but it's a bit of a shame because I'd have liked to have had that in my collection. So, but yeah, I've not really listened to... I listened to an album we're going to talk about. I've listened to New Radicals album. But yeah, that's about all I've listened to this week, apart from bits on YouTube that I've sort of watched when they've been on. I've had a sort of music off week.
A music-free week.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, I've had it on when I've been bored and lying there and not really been able to move, but I haven't really been able to get up and put my turntable on. and so a lot of it has been digitally streamed. So, but yeah, no. Apart from listen to the Rob Thomas album. That's a very good album. I quite like that one. As you know, I do like Matchbox 20. So anything apart. Rob Thomas did release a Christmas album a couple of years ago. Didn't buy that.
There's too
I'm
many
not.
of them, isn't there? Now there's too many have been done.
Yeah, I don't get the whole Christmas album thing. I don't.
I'm not sure that anyone should be encouraged to make any new ones now. I think is there not enough of it now?
Yeah, but if you stop that, then Michael Bublé is never going to make any money, is he?
Well,
Yeah.
maybe not. Um,
There's more Michael Bublé Christmas albums than I think Fast and the Furious films.
is it
That's
really?
the kind of
Is
level.
it just the case that he's only made one or two though, and people think he's made more than he actually has? Because people thought that
Possibly.
Cliff Richard had made lots of Christmas songs, but he hadn't made as many as people think either.
No, he
It
did
just
try, didn't he? I think he tried to get a Christmas #1
let's
in
let's
so
not
many decades.
talk about Christmas records in March.
No,
Let's not
in
go there.
March. So
Let's go
let's
into
talk about
the album that we 13 minutes ago were coming on to actually talk about.
Yeah. I've got it here. There it
New
is.
Radicals, baby. You've been brainwashed too.
Yes. Look at there's our man there, Greg Alexander.
That's TOO. Maybe you've been brainwashed too, not the sequel.
Yes. No.
In fact, there is no sequel to that album because it is a one-off.
Unfortunately, it is a one-off. It is sadly a one-off. I mean, you can obviously go online like I have and made an album of Greg Alexander songs that he obviously doesn't sing. Life is a Roller Coaster, Ronan Keating. In fact, I've got it in my Spotify.
Okay, we'll go through the hits. While you're looking that up, has he done... Because obviously he is the lead singer on that New Radicals album.
He is,
and he's written songs since, but has he not recorded any ones that he sings after that?
No. But last year he did release 2 tracks, which because obviously he wrote Murder on the Dance Floor by Sophie Ellis-Bextor.
Okay, right.
So he released his version, which I'm not sure is a new version or just the demo version that he recorded at the time. And what was the other one he did? It was Lost Stars, the song Lost Stars from the film Begin Again that Adam Levine from Maroon 5 recorded. And Keira Knightley also sings a version which is rather good. And it got nominated for the Oscar in 2014.
Okay.
So, but apart from that, he has not released any music as himself.
And what did he do before this New Radicals album? What had he done before?
He had 2 albums before that. I think one was late 80s. Now, I may get the order wrong here, but he had an album called Michigan Rain. And then the second album, or it could have been the first album, was called Intoxication.
So this was under his name?
This was under the Greg Alexander name, yeah.
But the New Radicals name, didn't the New Radicals contain some well-known musicians who'd done stuff before?
Yes, yeah. Because it was a revolving door. There's only 2 real fixed members, and that was Greg Alexander and former child actress star Danielle Brainwashed, who he recorded an album with. There is a Daniel Brainwashed album from later in the 90s, early 2000s that he wrote most of this. You can hear him on backing vocals, I think, on some of the tracks, but he wrote most of that album as well. So
now this is the interesting fact I was thinking of. So people who are fans of the Beatles, and particularly Paul McCartney fans, will be interested to know that the guitarist on this album is Rusty Anderson, who not long after this, I think it was around 2001, 2000,
he went to tour with...
Became Paul McCartney's guitarist and still is Paul McCartney's regular guitarist.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just interesting. Yeah, okay. So the guy who was his other partner in the band,
Yeah.
does he actually play?
Well, the only other person was Danielle Braybois, and I think she played sort of percussion,
Oh,
and I
okay, so
think
it's
she
a
may have
woman.
played keyboards.
Oh, okay. Sorry, when you said
Yeah,
Daniel, I thought it was a bloke, but that's just
yeah,
me.
Danielle. It's my pronunciation, dude. I'm
Right.
pretty rubbish at that.
So it was a one-off project. Why did he choose to just end it right after the album was released? Does anyone know why that is?
Because he was tired of the rigors of touring and being interviewed and having to get up and answer the same questions, and
The whole thing.
so they literally, I think they released the second single,
Yeah.
"Someday We'll Know," and literally, I think the day after they split up, because I think um, they cancelled a show on, I think it was in Atlanta. It would have been 1999. So they were due to play some open air music festival in Atlanta, and I probably would have gone to it. They had a UK tour due to start in May of '99, and but yeah, he just rumours had circled that they're going to be breaking up because they'd obviously cancelled these shows. They went and recorded the video for "Someday We'll Know," and then I think it was July time. I think, if I remember, Alexander, I think he released a statement saying um, that he'd accomplished his goals and the New Radicals would no longer be recording, promoting, be a performing entity.
Okay. So let's dive
And
into
then
the
my
album.
heart broke.
Okay, so let's dive into the album
Yeah,
and let's go to the actual record because I listened to it the other day and I must admit I still can't remember the titles of the songs. I might remember the
I can
songs.
tell you the titles
Yeah,
because I've got them here and I know them anyway. Because the first
I
one
kind
is
of got them
"Mother, I
here.
just can't get enough." There we go.
You can guess what Wikipedia I'm looking at to get those.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now this
So
opener is kind
yes,
of unusual. It's not really. It's not. It's an interesting track because it's good, but it's not what you think of as being a hit type song, is it? It's kind of a.
no.
It feels
And
more like an album track.
I remember having this album on in the car. My daughter was very young, and did you clock what it says? The very first words of the album, when it comes on, Daniel Desbois goes, "Make my nipples hard, let's go."
Sorry, I'm just
Yeah,
censoring it without having to beep it
yeah.
afterwards. Yeah.
And my daughter then started saying that back to me, which I had to sort of. But yeah, no, I think it's a really. I mean, I love this album, as you well know, but I think it's a really great intro to
It,
the album because
it's a
it's really
scene
up
setter.
tempo.
It's a scene
It is,
setting song.
yeah.
That's how I see it, as a song that sets the scene. It's quite a long track, but it doesn't. It's it doesn't. It's on the borderline of going on too long, but it just about gets away with being 5 minutes 46
Yeah. Because there's
seconds.
enough going on, isn't there? It's not like it's just like I say he's got different vocal styles, but there's all this other stuff going on in the background that it kind of breaks up the momentum. Not breaks up the momentum of the song because the song thunders along, but it doesn't make it feel drawn out, does it?
No,
It makes it feel
it
sort of.
avoids boredom, and you don't realise quite how long it's been going on. I didn't realise it was
Isn't it about
5:46.
5.5 minutes, 6 minutes?
According to Wikipedia, it's 5 minutes 46.
Yeah, I know it was verging on 6 minutes. It's almost all round the world, isn't it, by Oasis?
And then it goes into the one that everybody will know, even if they don't think they know it, which is the big hit, "You Get What You Give."
Yeah. Ice-T
Don't,
said it was one of his favourite tracks of all time.
which could have been called "Don't Let Go, You've Got the Music in You," couldn't it? Really, it could have been called that. But they called it "You Get What You Give." 5 minutes, that is, and I suppose Yeah, it feels like a 4-minute pop song. It feels like a 4-minute song,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
but it sort of keeps you entertained. So it is actually
And
5
it
minutes.
still sounds fresh today. When you listen, when I hear it on the radio, it's kind of it just makes you want to. When I got made redundant, and we both got made redundant from the same place. This was the first track I put on in the car after getting made redundant, and you know what? It just made me think, I can take on the world here. Don't care. It just gave me that sort of. I mean, it was the late '90s. It was sort of, when you're sort of young and dumb, and you kind of haven't got care in the world. But I still find the track as empowering today as I did back then, and I keep hearing different things in it. Every time I listen to it, I catch a lyric that I've probably misheard, and
Really, so you're still
it's
discovering things in it now. Well,
yeah,
it reached. I'm just looking at its performance because it's been played a lot on the radio. It certainly was at the
yeah,
time. It's
yeah,
become one of those songs that you sort of, and it's a kind of a natural hit, isn't it? As soon as you hear that, you think that's going to be a hit.
yeah, yeah,
And it's reached number 5 on the UK chart.
yes.
Now,
Which
if he'd given that at that time, if he because it makes me think sometimes that it's the kind of song that someone like Robbie Williams could have done. And can you
yeah,
imagine
yeah,
if he'd given that song to Robbie Williams, it would have been number 1, wouldn't it? I mean, it would have been even
yeah,
bigger.
yeah. But if you notice, even on Top of the Pops, because they performed it on Top of the Pops,
Yeah.
and even on the cover, the reason he wears his hat low is, as I think he said at the time, he didn't want people to see how disinterested he was. So
So he's the
yeah,
ultimate disillusioned star. He had no interest in being
yeah,
a
yeah,
star, really,
yeah,
did he?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and on the front cover of the single, which is a slightly different photo, but it's obviously the same, taken at the same time, he definitely is not interested in being
no, no,
famous there, is he?
yeah.
So I don't know what more we can say about the actual hit song, but it
If I
goes.
remember
Well,
rightly, because I read about this on Wikipedia, and apparently he wrote the song after having a dream in which he heard music coming from a house and walked in to find Joni Mitchell, who told him to have a seat.
okay.
So yeah, yeah. But I know with the song, it's sort of everybody got onto the bill at the end where he says about Marilyn Manson and Beck Hansen, Courtney Love and Beck and Hansen, you're all fakes until your mansions come around, we'll kick your sin.
Now
But
the
he kind of wrote that because the lines leading up to it were about health insurance rip-off lying, FDA, big bankers buying, fake computers crashing, dining, cloning while they're multiplying, fashion shoots with Beck and Hansen, Courtney Love and Marilyn Manson. But everybody focused on the Marilyn Manson bit getting their asses kicked and not on the thing about big companies ripping you off and bankers
yeah.
lying and all this sort of stuff. And it was kind of like his social thing. Which one were people going to focus more on? Society's ills or the fact he just wanted to kick the bottoms of a few pop stars?
The co-writer on this is a guy
Rick
that I don't.
Knowles.
Rick Knowles. Now I don't know much about Rick Knowles, but I'm just looking at his discography. He's written a lot of hit records.
He has
Um,
indeed.
I don't know all of these songs. Or some of them I probably would know if I heard them because they're by people that I know have had hits. I mean, I don't remember "Crybaby" by CeeLo Green. Is that a well-known song? He also did something for
Yeah,
Nelly Furtado.
he
"Green Light"
did. He
by
did
John Legend. "White Flag" by Dido. I know that one.
The Power of Goodbye by Madonna.
You co-wrote that,
Little
yeah.
Star by Madonna.
"Northern
So he
Star" by
did,
Melanie C.
that's a good song, yeah. And I Turn to You as well. I think he did that one.
There's a few more that I remember being hits. "Live Your Life, Be Free" by Belinda Carlisle. There's some for
Summertime
Stevie.
Sadness, Lana
Yeah,
Del Rey.
he wrote a lot of the Belinda Carlisle ones. "Heaven is a Place on Earth" and "Circle in the Sand."
Yeah,
So he did a lot of those, and he's done a couple. Well, he's done a number with Lana Del Rey.
yeah,
And he did one with Jewel. Remember
yeah. God,
Jewel?
remember when she was like a thing?
Jewel was quite big for a short time, wasn't she? No,
Yeah, yeah.
she was championed by Bob Dylan and Neil Young in the
Yes, I
90s.
remember this. I remember reading it in Q or
In
Mojo
fact, I
magazine about the
think
fact that she was.
I think she was a support act for both Dylan and Young in the 90s, that they were both really pushing her. She's still around. I read something about her not that long ago.
Still doing a bit.
So I didn't realise that song had been co-written with him. So that's another thing I've
learned. Well, he co-wrote a lot of the stuff on here.
So the next song is I Hope I Just Didn't Give Away the Ending.
Yeah, which includes the great line about I told the dealer I was broke. We hired a cameraman. I did a porno film for Coke. I hear I'm big in Japan.
That's the one, yeah.
That's the one, yeah. And I mean, there are a lot of drug paraphernalia references in this album. And
it's got more drug references than a Rolling Stones album, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think I'd have to reread it, and I could be speaking out my posterior, but I'm sure he came from quite a strict background.
I think he brought up in some kind of religious cult or something like that.
Something along those lines, or something similar to that sort of thing.
Something quite strongly conservative. So he's rebelling against all of that.
Yeah,
so there's probably more drug references on this than there is on Sticky Fingers, which has probably got the most
especially
drug references.
This song, because there's that line, isn't there? Put the coke all in a can, tied up a TV minister, in walked her dad. He was because he fell dead on the floor because he thought the coke was sweet and low. So it's quite a good story when you sort of go through it, and then it turns out that she ends up topping herself, and he's left to take the blame. But it's another good sort of, the first 4 tracks are a really good entry. Like I said, I love this album, and there's not a track on here that bores me. But for 4 tracks into it does go a little world party in places, but as 4 tracks in, I think it's a good pop. Because it's almost like grown-up pop, isn't it? It's not bubblegum pop. It's not for when you're singing about...
No, it's more in the realm of George Michael or whatever we were doing all the puns about earlier on. It's grown-up pop. It's not bubblegum rubbish. But what about number 4?
And he does like a falsetto, doesn't he?
It is. Now, I was surprised at how much falsetto was on this album, and I was saying that... I would just refer to the Rolling Stones, saying that there's more drug references on this than there are in Sticky Fingers. There's also more Mick Jagger style falsettos than Mick Jagger has done in his whole career. I think possibly.
Yeah.
Because the Mick Jagger falsetto doesn't come out that often, does this? I mean, there's a few.
No, very.
It was around more in the late 70s, maybe the early 80s. There was a bit of Mick Jagger falsetto. I can't remember. I'm trying to think when the Mick Jagger falsetto first appeared. It may have been on the intro to "Sympathy for the Devil." The yelpy bits on there. I don't think he did any falsetto before that in the 60s. I may be wrong. And then that really came to the fore. There's not really any on Exile on Main Street or Sticky Fingers, but then by the time you get to something like Some Girls, there's a bit of Mick Jagger falsetto, and then it came out a bit more on Emotional Rescue, of course, has it all the way through. And that. But I
don't mind a bit of falsetto thrown in.
But the Greg Alexander falsetto, to me, he does sound like Mick Jagger, rather than he doesn't sound like one of the guy from the Temptations, whichever one it was who sang the falsetto. I can't remember which one it was.
One of the Bee Gees.
He doesn't sound like a Bee Gee. He doesn't sound like a Temptation. He doesn't sound like Prince or anyone else. I'm trying to think of who they are. He sounds like Mick Jagger.
It's a bit more earthy.
It's a Mick Jagger style. It really is. It sounds like it. To me, that's what it sounds like. So track 4, I Don't Want to Die Anymore. What does that mean to you?
I want to die anymore. I just can't get... I think it's one of 2 things, isn't it? It's either about the fact he doesn't want to give up drugs, or it's some love that he's lost. Because what does he sing? I just can't give you up. So that could relate to anything, really, I suppose. But going off of the sort of the theme of the album and its references, I would say it's very much probably a drug reference again, I think. But this is sort of like after the hurricane of the first 3 tracks. this kind of slows it down a little bit, doesn't it? This kind of brings it in and sort of just reels you in a little bit for a couple of tracks. But this is probably, if there is a least favourite song on the album, this is probably my least favourite of them all. If I was to rank them, this would probably be, But he goes falsetto in this, doesn't he? In fact, he has
He
quite a
does it
long
a lot.
falsetto bit. Yeah.
He does it a lot.
There's quite a long falsetto bit in this one, but it comes at the right time because I think if the album carried on in the vein of the first three songs, I think it would do your head in.
He couldn't carry
You know
on
what I mean?
like that for no. He has
It's
to
like being in a nightclub, isn't it? Sometimes you need to go outside, get some fresh air, and just cool your ears down a little bit. So
yeah, and that's the purpose. That's the purpose that this track serves. So then we go into Jehovah made this whole joint for you.
yeah, Jehovah made this whole joint for you, Carolina. So another drug reference, but it does make quite good social commentary, isn't it? In it, doesn't it? Because he says about, isn't she pissed that all the other nonconformists listen to the same obscure band?
That's the one. That's a good line. There are some good lines in this album, aren't there?
Yeah. Some really clever. It says about protecting the environment while tossing out a styrofoam cup. There's another line from that track as well. So,
I did like the one about the non-conformists listening to the same bands. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, because I think it's hope I didn't give away the ending, like the opening intro to that, because it is kind of very jumbled words, isn't it? You can't really hear what he's singing at the start because he goes on about doing the baboon, yeah, and driving to the ambulance shop. But there's I think it's in, is it in that one or is it in Jehovah? I can't remember. I've lost my train of thought, so we'll carry on. I forgot what I was going to say. But there was one of the lyrics in it I was going to say about, which is really clever, and I quite... Oh, that was it. Was it? She beat me in a game of Russian roulette. She burned the Beatles records because she hated Number 9. She licked rock cocaine suckers. Said I'm doing mine, or something along those lines. I think the line is, which is another great line as well. So, but yeah, it's another. It sort of ramps up. It doesn't ramp up the tempo because it's not as fast moving as the opening three, but it kind of picks up the tempo a little bit more. And I think there is a little bit more falsetto in this one.
I can't remember exactly, but this middle section
Isn't
of the album,
it wonderful to be? Isn't it a wonderful world, Carolina? Look at the birds in the sky. Jehovah made this whole job for you, Carolina. So isn't it?
Next song, I think, was also the single as well.
It was the second single, released in May '99.
Someday We'll Know. How high did that get on the UK charts?
I'm not even sure if it got that US high. Chart.
It didn't.
I do have it on CD single.
It got to
number 34, didn't it?
It got to 28 in the US Billboard Adult Pop Songs. On the UK singles chart, it was number 48.
Yeah. I don't think it was promoted in any way when it came out.
Well, it probably wouldn't have been, considering he said the band was now finished. So that's not the best way to get your record company to promote your next single, is it, really?
No. But it's a really nice, another sort of slow tempo, sort of, taking its foot off the gas. And it does have some quite cool, did the captain of the Titanic cry? What's the other... whatever happened to Amelia Earhart, who holds the stars up in the sky? Is true love just once in a lifetime? Did the captain of the Titanic cry? That's the line, if I remember rightly. But it's quite a nice, peaceful sort of pop song, isn't it, really? And there's no drug references in it.
No, you managed to avoid it for that one. Maybe You've Been Brainwashed too, the title song.
Yeah, great track, and mainly incoherent. you can pick up bits of. I'll bring up the lyrics actually. Maybe you've. Cause it's got some really good lyrics in it. Let me see if I can. It is. Oh, bummer! I've spelt it wrong. Brainwashed too. Oh, I'll tell you what. Oh no, Philster.
What's gone?
Give me 1 second. Pad for time. I've got to
Okay.
plug my laptop in.
I thought something was happening there, but some things went a bit dimmer, didn't they, viewer? Did you notice things go dimmer?
Look at this professionalism at its peak.
I think we almost lost Ben. What a tragedy that would have been.
Before it shuts off.
Yeah, if it shuts
Yes, we're back, Phil. Let me turn my light back on. Tell you what, dude. You don't get this on James Hargreaves, do you?
Is that light being powered from the laptop? Is that how it works? You got that plugged into USB.
Yeah.
So
and
the laptop battery gets down to a certain level, it cuts out all the unnecessary.
Yeah, it's
things.
kind of like a pre-warning for me to plug it in, and I did have the charger. It just wasn't next to me, so. Yeah, so I'm just having a look at the lyrics here, because when he sings the lyrics to that track, they're very muffled, aren't they? But they go on about greedy banks buying all the farms, chemical food, credit cards at 20%, and basically goes on about politics, and it's actually it's a really cool. It's got a real cool, heavy, dark beat to it as well.
It would go well if I was putting it on a radio show. I'd like to put it back to back with "Brainwashed" by George Harrison. I think it would work quite well.
Yeah, I think that could. I think that could work. I'm just having a look, because there is a really, really good line in it, and I'm just trying to find it. Oh yeah, because verse 3. One of the lines is, and I've just found it here, is, "You're set for doing my new dance. The baboon, yeah. Hey, on it." So, but it's a really good track. It's really quite dark and quite sort of. It's just got that dum 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 sort of beat going through it.
Do you know what's just come up on my screen? A little box
Your
that
battery's
says,
dying.
It says low battery. Your Mac will sleep soon unless plugged into power outlet. I've just
See,
plugged
we
it
are
into
both as bad as each other. So yeah, another good track, quite dark. It comes bang. Right, I don't think it's middle. Is it middle of the album? It is sort of middle of the album.
Well, it's track number 7, so it's kind of is the middle, really. It's 7 of 12.
But it's different to. I know all tracks are different to each other, but just the tone of it, that sort of, it's different to a lot of stuff I've heard before. But there's nothing on the album like it, if you know what I mean. All the other songs could be quite interchangeable, but this is actually quite different, if you know. And because you can't really tell what he's saying, you kind of grip, because then you start making up your own lyrics in your head to what he could be saying until you read them like I do, and then it just ruins it for you. All the mystique is out the window, Philster.
The next song, "In Need of a Miracle."
I'm in need of a miracle. That one. Yeah,
That's the one.
Very much a poppy number, this one. I'm just bringing it up on here. Of a miracle. I don't know why. Because I was looking at the lyrics the other day because I was bored, and how do you spell radicals? There we go. Yeah, because this is the one. Yeah. This is all about his sort of travels and stuff, isn't it? Better the good in Texas. That one. Yeah, it's. Do you know what? Actually, I would say this.
Is this your new least favourite song on the album?
Yeah, I think I think it could be breaking the law, because he does the falsetto bit in this, and I do like the bit where he goes into, but you breaking the law, or holding on for a miracle. So no, it's not my new least favourite song.
Okay. The next
It's
one,
not my, yeah,
it might be a drug reference on the next one. Gotta Stay High. I'm not saying that is a drug
yes.
reference, folks, but it just seems suspect somehow, doesn't it?
I don't know what part of that makes you think that it could be
I
suspect,
don't know
Philster.
what that is, but
I mean, gotta stay high. Obviously, he's a pilot, and he's over the ocean, and if he doesn't stay high, then they're going to crash into the ocean, aren't they? So, yeah, another great track. I saw your eyes. I had to run away. Too deep in love, there were no words to say. Yeah, it's slightly world party. There are quite a few tracks in there which very much out the world party playbook. But yeah, it's a he does falsetto again in this as well, doesn't he? Because he does that. Gotta stay high. Yeah. So it's about love again, love and drugs,
I thought
because it seems to be the big puller for this album is love and drugs.
there's more falsetto on this than there is on Prince's debut album.
There's more falsetto on this than there is in Prince's career,
Technicolor
I
Lover
think.
is next.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Took your math test. That ain't fair exchange. Yeah, I love that track. I really love because it's got that real sort of. He does that. He's very good at using his voice as an instrument, and he's kind of. I'm not even going to try and do the bit at the start that he does, but it's almost like he's sort of almost like a gorilla beat in its chest sort of thing at the start. And technical lover, break my heart. More falsetto. This is a falsetto album, Philster.
It is. I was surprised at how much there was because there isn't really. The big hit single doesn't really have any, does it? Or I not? Or I have a false memory of that.
He
But I
does go. He
don't.
does
There's a
go high
bit.
pitch in it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But he doesn't. But the thing is, it does work in it. It does work. But another one, I do. One of the things that always kept me enjoying this album was the lyrics. I do love the lyrics. I do. I am a lyric guy. I do like lyrics, and because I think it's a. I do like the slight humour in some of these songs as well, even though they talk about, in Hope I Didn't Give Away the ending about people dying and selling all of their donatable body parts. But yeah, Technical Lover, I think, starts off with the line, she comes from a world that's so far out, roller skating into my world, I had no doubt. She asked me where you get that velvet coloured hair. I said, I got lots more somewhere if you touch my big. So, yeah. So, and I do, you kind of, but you don't know what that big thing is because it doesn't, allude to it in any way. So, and I do like the line for it as well. And she may not be the world solution, but she's a world class revolution. I do like that as well. I do like the way that's mixed into each other. So, I do really. In fact, this and the next song, Flowers, are two of my favourite songs on the album. I
So
do really like Technicolor Lover, and I do really like Flowers because Flowers is a great track.
tell us more about Flowers.
Well, they grow in people's gardens. You sometimes see them at a show in Chelsea called the Chelsea Flower Show. Bees love them, wasps love them, and so do other insects. They smell nice, some don't, and they cost a fortune.
Thanks for that, Alan Titchmarsh.
Yeah,
Anything
yeah,
on the
yeah.
song?
um, yeah, this sort of begins the slowdown, doesn't it? I think this song into Crying Like a Church on Monday. I think it starts off, it's 97, why aren't things wild? You said you were a flower child. I can respect your soul searching, but now's the time for questioning. So, but he does more falsetto in this. It's another falsetto track. But another good lyric one as well. You're 22, why aren't you free? Your mum and dad's victory. A soul that's lived 1,000 lives, don't hide behind a child's eyes. I do like a nice lyric. So, but yeah, it's just another good. Like I said, I can't say anything bad about it. Some people may listen to this album and think it's just not for me. It's too poppy, or it's too many drug references. You know, if you're Mary Whitehouse, this probably isn't. You know, it's not going to set your world on fire. But I do like it. Gets a little bit angsty in the bridge part because he says, "I love you, you hate me. Took maths class, that ain't fair exchange. I call you, you hang up. Don't have to be a bitch and get your number changed. I'm sorry, forgive me. I never meant to call you those names, but I'm lonely, so lonely, please." That's a great line. He goes from the argument to the loneliness all in about one paragraph. So it's a great track, Filster. Like I said, I can't say anything bad about this album. So you're not going to fiddle me out of this one, I tell you.
Now, when I was listening to it the other day, I thought the closing track is a very good closer. It works very well.
It does, yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know what it was about lyrically. I wasn't really listening that much to the lyrics. It's called "Crying Like a Church on Monday."
Church on Monday, yeah. I was dancing with your shadows, slow down memories hall. I said, wait, have I been seduced and forgotten? And she said, baby, haven't we all? Which I think is a great sort of opening line to the song. But there's more falsetto in it. There's a little bit of, stalkerism in there, isn't there? Because I think he sings about, I was hiding in your bedroom when I saw him come inside. I can't live in his shadow. Is that where I'm dancing till I die? So it's about sort of love lost, but it's done in a really sort of clever way. It's clever, but it's not. What was that band that They May Be Giants. It's not done in an irritating way. It's done in quite a clever sort of, and obviously, there's a little bit of sort of, would it be obviously from his background, he's probably obviously rebelling against his parents' religious views and all that sort of stuff. So there's a little bit of rebellion across the album, but it is a nice album close. I like it when an album closes with a nice reflective track, a bit like Soldier on Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. That sort of somber, because it's almost like the fade out of a credit scene, isn't it? It's almost like if you only get what you give as a last track, you kind of like, well, I kind of want more now. You've kind of given me this at the end. I want more. So it's nice to have that sort of wholesome fullness closing track, if that makes any sense.
I don't mind a come down track at the end of an album.
No.
Depends on the album, but I mean, yeah, I think it's fine. Now, I have to ask: have you ever heard the Japanese bonus track "To Think I Thought"?
I think I have, because I think I've got it on a import CD.
And do you like it?
But I only heard it very, very recently, in the last couple of years.
And do you like it? And do you think it should have been on the album?
I couldn't. I don't think it. It's difficult because I've loved this album since it came out. So to go 20 odd years to then go, would you put this out? To me, I love the running order of this album. It's one of the few albums. When you get an album and you're like, oh, I could change. I think we did it with, was it U2's Pop? Was it Pop?
There's a couple of U2 albums that I personally think should have had the songs in a different order.
Different order, yeah.
One of those is Songs of Surrender. Another one is arguably How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. And I've still never been able to come up with a track order that I like for No Line on the Horizon. But that's just me. I like fiddling with those. I wouldn't change Actung Baby or the Joshua Tree necessarily, but there are some ones that I do There's some albums by a few different artists where I sometimes think that the order is wrong, but this is one that I didn't think the order was wrong. It seemed to be fine.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I just kicked my table there. Yeah, I think the flow of it's nice. It's got that. I like the way it sort of it slows up with "I Don't Want to Die Anymore," and then picks you up a little bit with Jehovah, and then brings you back down a little bit with that "Someday We'll Know" to break that sort of bridge up. Because I think with "Standing on the Shoulders of Giants," a lot of the negativity around that was the fact you had those two Noel tracks back to back. And a lot of people said it just slowed the pacing of the album down.
Yeah,
which I kind of get, but
I get it. But they didn't have many up-tempo songs at that time, did they? So it was kind of difficult.
Well, as Noel says, they didn't have the songs. So, but no, I don't. For me, I think the album as it is the album, and I don't think I'd want to alter it. It's a perfect pop, like I say, adult pop album for me. Maybe one of the Lightning Seeds albums might be in there as well, but yeah, it's like I said, I've loved this album, as you well know, for 20 odd years, and I've had it on this week. I don't think I'll ever stop loving it, and as you've found out this week by sending me some newspaper stuff about this album, there is a lot of love out there for this album. You know, a lot of journalists that have sang its praises, haven't they?
Yeah, apparently, according to one of the things I read, Bruce Springsteen and Joni Mitchell were fans of Greg Alexander. And were saying things about him at that time that it came out. I don't remember that from the time, but apparently they did.
And obviously he's gone on. No, I'll read you out some of the tracks that he has written for other people. So, and I've got them in this playlist. It's called, if you search it out, it's called Greg's Wonder Basket. So I thought it was quite. So I Can't Deny It, Rod Stewart. Murder on the Dance Floor, Sophie Ellis-Bextor.
I know that one.
The Game of Love, featuring Michelle Branch and Carlos Santana.
Okay.
Which was originally covered by Tina Turner, but she didn't want to release it. Loving Each Day, Ronan Keating. Loving Each Day as if it's the last. That one. Do you remember that?
Oh, vaguely. Yeah.
I Love It When We Do by Ronan Keating. Do you remember that one? I love it when we do what we do. Music Gets the Best of Me, Sophie Ellis-Bextor. On the Horizon, Mel C. I'm just quickly going through some. Love is a Hurricane, Boyzone. A lot of sort of boy bandy sort of stuff. Adam Levine, Lost Stars. Inner Smile, Texas. Do you remember that track? That was
I may know if I hear it. I can't think of it.
Yeah, that was a really, really good track. He did one for CeeLo Green, I remember. But he's done stuff at The Only Ones, the Kaiser Chiefs. He's done singles for the Struts.
Would I know the Kaiser Chief one? Was that a hit single?
I don't, probably not. But let's have a look. Which one is it? It is from where did I just see the Kaiser Chiefs?
I've never listened to a Kaiser Chiefs album. I only know the ones that have been on the radio.
I have, and it wasn't as bad as The Only Ones, Kaiser Chiefs, and it was off of the album
I won't know
Duck from 2019. So I haven't got a clue. Unless it's I Predict a Riot, I have not got a clue. I'm not a massive Kaiser Chiefs fan.
I'm not either. I didn't know the...
No. So that is the New Radicals album, Phil. Wrapped up. We're never going to have to talk about it again.
I'm only joking.
Yeah, we are. We are. Because I don't think I'll ever stop talking about it until the day I die. So what were your feelings on it? What did you feel about it? I know you're, it's...
I'm not totally into it yet, because the thing is that it's one of those albums where the hit single is so big and you've heard it so many times before, that kind of does disjoint it a little bit, because you hear this opening song that's kind of unfamiliar, and this is good, and then you go into this really well-known song which you've heard loads of times. But I did enjoy it, and then the rest of it I can't remember which song was which now on the rest of the album. I remember the closing song quite well. The ones in the middle are a bit, so I don't know them well enough yet. It didn't make me want to turn it off. So I could see that it's a good album, but I haven't sort of started to love it. But that doesn't mean I won't love it, because sometimes I have to hear things a few times, or I have to come back to them again, and I suddenly go, "Oh, actually, I really like this."
Yeah.
Well, I can certainly respect it. He certainly had a lot of talent, and he certainly had a lot to say at that point when he made that album. He was obviously on a roll at that point when he was writing it.
because his first two albums sound washy, is the best way I could, almost cringy.
This is kind of like his peak. This is like a peak of his personal masterpiece kind of thing, that he got everything out that he wanted to say.
Yeah, but I get what you mean about albums, because I've bought albums before on the strength of the singles, and you end up only listening to the singles because you're like, oh, the other tracks aren't as catchy as the singles, but there's a reason for that. They're not the singles. So it's always nice, I find, to go back to an album where you haven't heard the singles and that for a long time, and then listen to it, and then you kind of appreciate the other tracks a bit more.
You can do, yeah. I mean,
or just don't listen to modern radio or the radio ever, and just buy an album blind.
I do like to avoid. I must admit, when albums have songs that are really played a lot on the radio, it does ruin them a little bit for me at the time. There's some albums I've gone back to since, because I'm not hearing the songs all the time. But that's the only problem with really successful albums. But as you know, I'm a bit of an album track kind of guy. If I have to pick my favourite songs off albums, quite often they're not necessarily the hits. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But
that was also your Tinder profile, wasn't it? Album track kind of guy.
It wouldn't be any less successful than anything else I've tried in that.
No. I mean, bear in mind, we started this show off with George Michael puns. We've come a long way, baby. That's not a George Michael pun, by the way, because that was Fatboy Slim. I was just saying we've come back around, as it were. So, but yeah, it's a great album. People should go out and listen to it and appreciate it for what it is, and listen to more Greg Alexander stuff, or pester him to record new music.
Show us the front again. Show us the front cover again. That is the New Radicals. Maybe You've Been Brainwashed too. Came out in late 1998.
Great album cover as well.
Also made
Not Fussy.
Ben's favourite album of the 90s. And we'll share on this somewhere, if we remember to put it on, we'll share the link to Ben's playlist of all the other songs that Greg Alexander's written.
Yeah. And you'll have to excuse my poor description of songs. My vocabulary sucks at this time of day when I'm dosed up on anti-vertigo tablets as well. So, but we've given you an overview. To be fair, we've whittled on longer than the album goes on for. So if you've got this far, turn us off.
Have we actually done it?
Go listen to the album.
We've been on for 52 minutes. How long is the album?
We've been on for an hour and 3 minutes. This is on my counter.
Well, my counter says 52 minutes.
Maybe you're in the past and I'm in the future.
I don't know.
Imagine that. Imagine that. I'm in the future. Well, do you want me to tell you what it's like?
When did we start? Was it around 7:30?
When you press... Do you want me to tell you what the future's like, Phil?
Tell me what it's like, Ben, because I don't know.
Dark. It's really dark.
Have you got a hoverboard?
Yep. And I've got some trainers that do themselves up. And, lucky for you, Philster, I've got a DeLorean. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, viewer, for joining us for that. We do appreciate it. We'll be back talking about some other music at some indeterminate point in the future, but it will be quite soon. Cheers again. I've been Phil. He's been Ben. We are Full Record Jacket. From us, goodbye.
Bye-bye.